Is it even possible to be friends with a pick-me girl? My best friend and I were at a party after her breakup when a group of tall, intimidating guys walked in. We should go, I whispered to Vanessa. In response, she turned to them and practically shouted, "You always want to leave when the hot guys show up. Are you jealous of me or something?" The men looked over and I saw their faces change, like sharks catching a scent of blood. Vanessa was already moving toward them, that desperate bounce in her step she always got when a guy looked her way. Birthday shots, she squealed, grabbing my wrist. Her nails dug into my skin as she dragged me toward the terrace. The men followed, spreading out as they came. The door clicked shut behind us, automatic lock. We were trapped out there with them. Vanessa was giggling like it was all a joke. She was already pressed against one of them, the one in the ugly designer shirt. Another guy leaned against the door, blocking it casually, but I knew. "Your friend looks scared," one of them said, laughing. "She's always like this around men," Vanessa said. "Probably because she hasn't been touched in months, right, babe?" My face burned. The men exchanged glances. "That true?" Ugly Shirt asked, stepping closer. "We should go," I said, steady but firm. Vanessa laughed, high, fake, and sharp. "See? She can't even talk to you. It's actually sad. That's why I brought her. Thought maybe you could help her loosen up." I pulled out my phone, but Vanessa saw and snapped. "No phones." She snatched it, her nails slicing my hand deep enough to bleed. She held it up like a prize. "She's always on this thing. Probably texting her mom. She still lives at home, you know." The men laughed. Ugly Shirt took the phone from her and slipped it into his pocket, smiling at me. "No mommy to save you now," he said. Vanessa kept going, painting me like some naive, uptight girl. "Bet she's never even done shots," one said. "Virgin everything," another added. Vanessa giggled. I went for the door, but Vanessa threw herself at my legs. I hit a deck chair hard, tasting blood. "You're not ruining this for me," she hissed. Then louder, to the men, "She always does this. Total drama queen. One time she faked a seizure to leave a date. That never happened." But the men were circling. "Maybe she needs to be taught how to have fun," Ugly Shirt said. "Yes." Vanessa clapped. "That's what I've been saying." One man grabbed my arm too tight. Another brushed my hair. "Pretty thing like this shouldn't be so uptight," he said. Vanessa rolled her eyes. "She probably thinks you guys are going to assault her or something. She thinks every man's a predator. It's actually really offensive." The air went cold. "We're not predators," Ugly Shirt said slowly. "We're nice guys," Vanessa agreed. "She's just paranoid. Watches too much true crime. Maybe she needs a drink." The quiet one was already at the bar. "I don't drink," I said. "She thinks she's too good to drink with you," Vanessa shot back. "She only drinks expensive wine with her poetry club." She said poetry like it was an insult. The quiet one poured shots. I saw him drop something in 2 glasses, quick, practiced. My stomach sank. "Vanessa, don't." "Oh my God." She cut me off. Now she's going to say the drinks are drugged. She always does this. "Remember Duke's party?" she told them. She accused the host of spiking the punch. Turns out she's just a lightweight. That party never happened. But the men nodded like they believed her. "Sounds like she needs to prove she trusts us," Ugly Shirt said. Vanessa grabbed the glass. I caught her wrist. "Stop." She shoved me. "Stop what? Stop having fun? Stop making friends? Just because you're miserable doesn't mean I have to be." "The drink, there's something, watch," she yelled, and downed it in one go, glaring at me. The men watched, amused. The quiet one slid the second glass toward me. "Your turn." I tried to move away. They followed. "Guys," Vanessa said, but her voice was already slurred. "She's not fun." "I told you." "We'll be the judge of that," one replied. Vanessa swayed, catching herself on the bar. "I don't feel lightweight," she mumbled. Ugly Shirt was watching her like a scientist. She tried to fix her hair, but her hands wouldn't work. "I'm fine. I'm not like her." "No," he said. "You're much easier." Then I saw it hit her. Her pupils huge. I want to go home." She blinked hard, then dropped to the floor. The men closed in around me. One knelt beside her. Then click. The terrace door swung open. Security had finally unlocked it. I bolted, shoving past them. My legs shook, but I made it inside. The music was still blasting. People were dancing like nothing had happened. Behind me, I heard the men talking to security, calm, polite. "We invited them out," one said. "They wanted to party." I kept walking toward the bar, hands trembling so badly I could barely hold the counter. The bartender looked at me, her eyes going wide. I grabbed the house phone from behind the counter, my fingers slipping twice before I finally managed to dial 911. When the operator answered, I tried to explain my friend collapsed. Someone put something in her drink. We were trapped on the terrace with those men. The operator asked for the address. I had to glance around the room to find a sign and read it out loud. The bartender slid a glass of water toward me, leaned in, and whispered that she'd seen something strange, that the quiet one had done something with his hands over the glasses when they ordered. I nodded, still talking to the operator, who told me help was on the way and to stay on the line. Through the glass doors, I could see the men still out there, still surrounding Vanessa. One of them had his phone out now, probably calling someone. The sirens came fast. Within minutes, EMTs were pushing through the crowd with their gear. I led them to the terrace. Vanessa was still on the ground. One man was kneeling beside her, pretending to look concerned. The paramedics rushed over, checked her pulse, shined a light in her eyes. I told them she'd been drugged, that the quiet one spiked her drink. I pointed at him, but he'd already stepped away from the bar, hands empty, face calm. He looked at me like I was crazy. The EMTs tried to question Vanessa, but her words came out slow and slurred. Then the police arrived, 2 officers in uniform. They started separating everyone for statements. I watched the men's faces shift, smooth and innocent, as if they'd practiced this. Ugly Shirt was already talking to one officer, sounding calm, even sympathetic. I caught bits of what he said, that we'd invited them to hang out, that Vanessa had been flirting all night, that she'd been drinking before they arrived. I felt sick. He sounded so believable. The other officer came to me. He looked young, maybe just a few years older. I started talking too fast, my voice shaking. I told him everything: the locked door, the spiked drinks, Vanessa collapsing, the men surrounding us. He wrote in his little notebook, expression unreadable, glancing between me and the men like he couldn't decide who to believe. That look made my stomach twist. The EMTs came over and said Vanessa needed to go to the hospital. They asked if I was coming too. Part of me wanted to say no, after everything she'd done, after she tackled me, gave them my phone, called me crazy. But I couldn't leave her like that. Not when she could barely move. So I said yes. I rode in the ambulance with her. She kept mumbling something about the hot guys, how fun the party was. She still didn't understand what had almost happened. The ride felt endless, though it couldn't have been long. At the ER, they took her straight back. A nurse guided her through the doors until she was gone, and I was left alone in the waiting area. There was dried blood on my arm where she'd scratched me. The cuts were deeper than I'd realized. My phone was still gone in that man's pocket, along with all my contacts, photos, everything. I felt completely cut off, like I was watching this happen to someone else under the bright hospital lights. After a while, a nurse came out. Otto. He spoke gently, explained that since I might have been drugged too, they needed to do an exam, collect evidence. Just in case. I agreed, grateful that someone was finally taking it seriously. Otto explained each step, the samples, the documentation, how everything would be stored if a case was opened. It all sounded official, almost unreal. During the exam, Otto handed me a tablet. He said I could record a voice memo while everything was still fresh. So I did. I talked through it all, how Vanessa accused me of jealousy, how she dragged me to the terrace, took my phone, scratched me, tackled me when I tried to leave. How she told the men I was paranoid. How she drank the drugged shot just to prove I was crazy. I described the men circling us, the locked door, Ugly Shirt pocketing my phone, the quiet one slipping something into the drinks. I talked until I ran out of words. When the exam was over, I went back to the waiting area, numb. Then the bartender from the venue, Natasha, walked in. She said she'd found me through the EMTs. She handed me a small piece of paper with her contact information and said she was willing to make a statement. She told me she'd seen the quiet one doing something strange with the drinks, that her manager told her not to get involved, that she regretted staying quiet. I thanked her and folded the paper carefully, tucking it into my pocket like it was the only solid thing I had left. It felt important, proof that I wasn't making it up, that someone else saw what I saw. A nurse came to get me and led me to where they were keeping Vanessa. The room was small and too bright. Vanessa was sitting up, eyes clearer now. For a second, I felt relief, until she spoke. "Why are you still here?" she snapped. "You made such a big deal out of nothing. Those guys were into me and you ruined it." The nurse froze by the door. "Vanessa, they drugged you," I said, my voice flat. "They drugged both of us." "You collapsed." She rolled her eyes. "I just drank too much." "You always turn everything into drama." The nurse stepped forward. "Miss, do you understand what happened tonight?" Vanessa ignored her, glaring at me. "You can't stand when guys like me. You embarrassed me." Something inside me broke. "They were going to assault us," I said quietly. "That's why they locked the door." Vanessa laughed. "You're so dramatic." "They were just flirting. No one ever flirts with you." The nurse looked stunned, maybe even sorry for me, when a patrol officer appeared. He asked to take my statement. In a small beige office, he actually listened. I told him everything: the shouting, the terrace, the locked door, the scratched arm, the spiked drinks, Vanessa collapsing. He filled pages with notes, asked about timing and positions. When I finished, he said they'd pull the security footage. For the first time all night, I felt a flicker of hope. They discharged me around 3 a.m. Vanessa stayed for observation. I didn't say goodbye. Back home, I locked every door and window, checked them twice. The apartment felt wrong, too quiet, too empty. I kept seeing the men's faces, hearing the click of the door. The next morning, I got a new phone. As soon as I logged in, messages flooded in, people asking what happened. Vanessa had already posted from the hospital, saying I'd caused a scene, that I was jealous, that she was the victim. Her comments were full of sympathy. People I'd known for years believed her instantly. No one asked for my side. I just sat there in my car scrolling, watching them all turn against me. My hands were shaking. I wanted to explain what really happened, but how do you fit the truth into a comment? Then my phone rang, unknown number. I answered anyway. "Hello." My voice cracked. "It's Hattie," my older sister said, worried. "Mom called. She said something happened at a party. Are you okay?" I wasn't. I broke down, sobbing in the parking lot as I told her everything: Vanessa's shouting, the locked terrace, the drugged drinks, her posts, and everyone believing her. Hattie was quiet, then said, "I'm coming. Pack a bag. You're not staying alone." I tried to protest, but she cut me off. "I'm already getting my keys." She showed up around 1 p.m. with groceries, hugged me hard, and said, "I've got you." She made tea, then went through my new phone. "Show me." I showed her everything: Vanessa's posts, comments, messages. Hattie screenshot it all, organizing by date and time. "We're documenting this," she said. "The police need to see how she's lying." 2 days later, I got a call from Detective Carson King. "I'm assigned to your case," he said. "Can you come in for an interview?" At the station, he listened carefully, asking specific questions for hours, about the men, the terrace, Vanessa, everything. Then he showed me security photos. In one, the quiet man was caught drugging the drinks. "That's him," I said, my voice shaking. "The footage shows intent," Detective King said. Relief and fear hit me at once. Someone finally believed me, but it was also proof of how close we came to danger. "You did the right thing," he said. "Because of you, both of you are safe. We'll find them." When I left the interview room, Hattie stood up immediately, searching my face. I nodded, and she put her arm around me. We walked out together into the afternoon sun. That night, Hattie stayed in the guest room without asking. When I woke up shaking from nightmares, she brought tea and sat beside me until I calmed down. The next morning, she made a list: emergency leave, therapist, new phone number, and handled most of it herself. My mind felt foggy, but she stayed steady. She found a trauma therapist named Dr. Brooks with an opening in 2 days and wrote the appointment time on a sticky note for my fridge. At the session, I could barely speak at first, but Dr. Brooks waited patiently. I told her about the terrace, the locked door, and the quiet man drugging the drinks. She believed me. She taught me a grounding exercise: 5 things I could see, 4 I could touch, 3 I could hear, 2 I could smell, 1 I could taste. It helped. After the appointment, I checked my phone, 27 new notifications. Vanessa had posted a long story painting herself as the victim, saying I'd abandoned her. The comments were all sympathy for her. People I knew were calling me selfish. My hands shook until I did the grounding technique again. 2 days later, Natasha, the bartender, messaged me. She'd given a statement to Detective King confirming she saw the quiet man drop something into our drinks. Reading that made me cry. Someone else had seen it. 3 days after, Detective King called. They'd identified the quiet one, Bryson Travis. Hearing his name made him real and terrifying. I had to stop and breathe before continuing the call. A week later, Harley Beck from Victim Services reached out. She explained the process, my rights, and said she'd guide me through everything. It was the first time the future felt manageable. I tried going back to work, but when I saw a group of men near the entrance, panic hit. I couldn't breathe. I called my boss from the car and said I needed more time. She understood. My boss told me to take whatever time I needed, though I could hear the worry in her voice. How long would this take? 2 weeks after my exam, Detective King called. The toxicology results came back positive for benzodiazepines, proof I'd been drugged. I felt both validated and horrified. It was real. That drug had been in my body. Then Vanessa somehow got my new number. She wanted me to drop everything, said it was getting messy, that people were questioning her about flirting with those men. I told her what really happened, how she helped them, how we were almost assaulted. She got defensive, said I was overreacting. I tried to be gentle, told her she deserved help and therapy too. She went silent, then snapped that she was fine and hung up. I realized she'd rather blame me than face what really happened. 3 days later, Detective King called again. The venue's door lock logs confirmed my memory. The terrace door locked at 11:47 p.m. and stayed shut for 16 minutes. Security guard Connor gave a statement describing finding Vanessa barely conscious and the men acting casual around us. It proved we were trapped. A week later, Harley from Victim Services told me another woman, Giselle White, had come forward. I called her that night. She told me about being drugged by a similar group at the same venue 3 months earlier, same setup, same quiet one, same pattern. Her story mirrored mine. We met for coffee the next day and agreed to stay in touch. It was heartbreaking but validating, proof this wasn't an isolated attack. That night, Vanessa went live on social media, crying, saying people were spreading lies about her. She painted herself as the victim again, claiming I'd turned everyone against her. Watching her rewrite the story in real time made my stomach twist. She was still performing, still desperate to be believed. Watching Vanessa's live stream, I realized it was the same behavior that led us to the terrace, her need for validation. Twisting reality to get attention. The comments were all sympathy for her. I felt sick. The next morning, Natasha texted me a screenshot of a threatening message she'd gotten from an unknown number, warning her to stay out of it. She was terrified. I told her to report it to Detective King, which she did, though she called me crying afterward. I felt guilty, but she refused to back down. Later, Detective King warned me not to post publicly about the case. Defense lawyers could use anything online against me. I wanted to defend myself against Vanessa's lies, but I stayed silent, trusting the process. In therapy, Sin helped me rebuild a sense of safety. We made a list: change locks, vary my routine, build a support network, take a self-defense class, keep my phone charged, and trust my instincts. It gave me some control again. Harley helped me file for a protective order against Bryson, the man who drugged us. Writing the details made my hands shake, but she reassured me I was doing the right thing. 3 days later, I got a threatening letter from Bryson's lawyer, accusing me of defamation and demanding I drop everything. I called Detective King in a panic, but he said it was a scare tactic, truth isn't defamation, and told me to forward it to him. His calm steadiness grounded me. My job also reached out, confirming my leave and offering flexible hours when I returned. It was a small relief knowing my stability was protected. 2 days before the hearing, I practiced my statement with Sin until my voice stopped shaking. By the end, I sounded confident, sure. The morning of the hearing, I met Harley outside the courthouse, and then Bryson walked in, polished and calm, like nothing had ever happened. At the hearing, Bryson gave me a small, smug smile that made my stomach twist. His lawyer chatted easily with the clerk while I forced my shaky legs to walk to the front. When the judge asked why I needed protection, I focused on her, not Bryson, and described everything: the drugged drinks, the locked terrace, and my phone in his pocket. His lawyer called it a misunderstanding, but the judge granted a 30-day protective order based on my testimony and Detective King's report. For the first time, I felt believed. That afternoon, Vanessa messaged me saying she was scared, couldn't remember parts of that night, and wondered if the men would have hurt her too. I wanted to tell her how angry I still was, but instead just sent therapy links and the victim support number. She read it, but never replied. 3 days later, the venue announced new security measures, better cameras and staff training. It felt good knowing something positive came from it. Then Detective King called. Bryson's toxicology was negative because too much time had passed, but the case was still strong. Natasha's statement, the door logs, Connor's report, and my positive test. A doorman, Marcus, later confirmed seeing Vanessa stumbling and the men hovering around us. His statement made me feel less alone. When I met Prosecutor Tyron Royce, he said they were filing misdemeanor charges for administering a harmful substance, not felony assault.